In this video, I'm going to use some of the least expensive light modifiers to create an autumn still life scene right in my studio. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. So in the US, it's not quite autumn yet. Still, the leaves are starting to change a little bit, starting to fall from the trees, and I was inspired to create a still life shot, a fall themed still life shot in my studio. I also just acquired some kind of cool objects that I thought would work pretty well. So let me turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm looking at. I'll show you the setup. Okay, so this is what I've set up in my studio. And by the way, the table is a cheap fold-up table. The backgrounds, those are duo boards from V-Flat World. I'm not getting paid for this, but they come in pretty handy, and I chose colors that were very earthy and fall-like. The two new things that I got, this lantern back there. So a buddy of mine's moving, and he had a barn, and he had to get rid of a lot of stuff in the barn. And this old lantern, I didn't even clean it. Like, it's really dusty and dirty, very authentic looking. And then this cigar box back there with some fantastic colors. The rest of the stuff I had lying around, or I went to the supermarket and bought. But that is the setup that I'm going to be shooting. So I've got the setup. And the question always becomes, how do I light it? I want to light it from the side, and generally I want to use light modifiers. So normally I would reach for, let me just grab, something like this. This is a softbox from Profoto, 1x4 foot. This would work really well. I could also grab my 2x3 softbox, also from Profoto. These are pretty expensive. Luckily, I was able to get them when I built out my studio. I was spending all that money anyway, so I just bought the stuff. But what if you didn't have something like this? What could you use? And I'll show you what my solution is. So I'm just going to start with a bare bulb flash. So I have my Profoto B10x set up on a stand here pointing at the scene. You can see from the side. It doesn't have to be a strobe like this. It could just be an off-camera flash. It's really not. It just happens to be in my studio and I'm using it, but you could use anything. So let me take a shot with just the bare bulb shooting at the scene, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, so before I shoot with the flash, let me take a shot with my trigger off. And so the flash is not going to fire. And I want to make sure the ambient light in the room is not affecting the scene. And in fact, I get a black screen, so when I turn the flash on, I will totally control the light, which is exactly what I want. Okay, so I'm going to turn my trigger on, getting a little height here so I can look down on my scene a little bit. And I'm going to click off a shot with just the bare bulb. And actually, it's not so bad. You can look at it on the screen. It's kind of cool. The side light creates some nice texture in it and shadows. I find the shadows a little too deep. Like, it's a little harsh. So again, without using an expensive light modifier, what can I do to soften that image? So the first way I'm going to modify the light, I'm going to use something that cost maybe $10 at an art supply store. And it's just a simple white foam core. It's one of these trifold things. You can use it for a school presentation. My kids probably used it when they were smaller. And I'm just going to set it up right on the edge of this scene to bounce the light right back into it. So it's just going to reflect the light and soften those shadows if I'm doing this right. Let's take a look. All right, so let's take the shot again. Same exact setup, same flash power, same position of the light, and I'm going to get the shot, and yeah, you can see the difference. There's definitely still harsh shadows, but not nearly as harsh. And I'll show you the before and after. Here is without the reflector, and here is with the reflector. So it definitely makes a difference, and that cost me all of $10. So ideally, I would put some sort of soft material in front, like a softbox. Could use an umbrella as well. Those aren't too expensive. But I'm actually going to use a light modifier that is absolutely free. And that is this wall over here. This is a window. I've got shades down. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this light around and bounce it off of this wall, this screen here. I'm going to position the light a little bit differently. I am going to turn the light up a little bit because it's got a little bit more work to do. We've got to push it against the wall and then back into the scene. So I'll crank up the power a little bit, just by eye, and we'll see what happens. All right, so let's see how this looks. I am going to take the same shot, again, roughly the same light position, just facing the other way. Still have the reflector, and I'll crank off a shot, and it is much different, much softer. I'll show you the before and after. So here's the before. That's with the bare bulb and the reflector. And this is bouncing the light off of the wall, still using the reflector. That is actually a good shot with some really nice soft light. Okay, so what if I wanted to zero the light in more on the scene? Maybe a little less on the background, a narrower beam of light that goes onto my fall still life scene. What would I use? I could use a grid, looks like this. And so if you turn to the side, you see light's not getting through. So it really just focuses the beam on where you want it to be, the light beam. I could use a snoot, looks like this. You can see obviously what it does, goes over the front of the light and it makes a smaller opening. You got to pay for both of these. They're more expensive than they should be. So I'll give you a cheaper workaround. I bought a roll of cinefoil, which is kind of like black aluminum foil, and you could do so many things with it, but I created this snoot. I basically just made a circle out of it, taped it, and I could put this right over the light, and it will act like a snoot. It's just 1/10 of the price, basically. Okay, so let me turn this light around so it's facing my still life scene. And then I'm going to take my very inexpensive snoot that I made and just pop it right on the front. And you could actually narrow this if you want to as well, so you could make an even narrower beam, which is kind of cool. Now, this is going to need a little bit more power to get through. I already turned the power up to bounce it off of the wall. I'm going to crank it up a little bit. Let me just see what I'm doing here. And let's take a shot and see what it looks like. All right, let's get this shot with my homemade snoot. Wow, it's definitely more dramatic. The light is definitely has a narrower beam to it. It's a little harsher, actually. Interesting. I mean, it's definitely a different kind of look. I am getting the reflection from the white foam board, so that's helping a little bit, but I find this a little harsh, but again, it's a different look and it's kind of cool. So one thing that's always kind of cool is when you see a still life shot where the light is coming through a window, where you see, the shadows of window panes or Venetian blinds or something. I'm on the second floor of my house. I'm above the garage, my studio is. And so I can't really position a light outside. I don't have window panes either. So the question is, can I fake it with inexpensive material? And the answer is yes. This one cost me maybe $3. This is just a piece of black, thick paper that I basically took an X-Acto knife and I cut these slats in it, mimicking kind of Venetian blinds, vertical blinds, horizontal blinds, not vertical. I could make it vertical, but I meant to be horizontal. So let me position this in front of the scene and see what happens. So I pulled out my other C-stand and I'm just going to attach this to this rod using some very inexpensive tape. And I'm going to position it in front of the scene to create the illusion that light is coming through a window. All right, so I'm going to start by positioning it right in front of the light, because that way I know it will cover the whole scene. I'm going to put it right in front of it, shooting right through this, and we'll get a shot. We'll see how it looks. All right, so let's click off a shot with this setup. And, ooh, that does not look good at all. It doesn't look like a window. It's just a little darker. That is not what I was going for. And the problem is that my screen, or my window, quote window, is way too close to the light. And so when it gets through, those shadows are far too soft. I need hard shadows, which means I have to have my, quote, window as close to the scene as possible. So let me move it. We'll take another shot. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I'm going to lower this window or screen and get it really close to the scene here. And we're going to see what happens. I may have to reposition the light a little bit, but I suspect this is going to look vastly different. All right, let's click off another shot with the window repositioned, and much better. Very cool, actually. My light modifier, my window or screen, by moving it closer, those shadows are much harsher, much more defined. So it actually looks like a window now. I'm actually pretty happy with this shot, and very different than what I created before. Well, there you have it. I used 3 light modifiers. I used my homemade snoot made out of cinefoil. I used my white foam core reflector, and I used my black thick piece of paper that I made a fake window with, all well less than $100, maybe less than 50 bucks, certainly. So very cheap, but effective. I got 3 interesting shots that I am pretty happy with. Hey, if you like this video, it does help the channel just to give me a like, thumbs up. And if you like this kind of content, along with the other stuff I do, architectural, landscape, Photoshop tutorials, photo critiques on occasion, I got to do more of those. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future videos. And until next time.